We are previewing all the Big 12 teams with a little training camp sweep as we go around the Big 12, and we've done that all week. And today we're talking Houston with Ryan Monso of GoCougs.com. What's going on, Ryan? How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Excellent.
Doing very well, thank you. Curious for kind of your observations and thoughts here at fall camp as Houston gears up for UTSA and starting in the Big 12.
So everybody in Houston is really excited, obviously, about moving into the Big 12. At the same time, there are more question marks with this roster than ever before. There's 42 new players. You've got a quarterback controversy for the first time in a long time. And so with so many new players at running back, receiver, quarterback, offensive line, defensive, I mean, basically every position. It's a different feel. I saw a stat yesterday that 0.1% of passing yards returned from last year, 0% of kicking points returned from last year. So there's a lot that has to be proven, and I really still don't have a feel for this team, where they're at and where they're going.
So, Ryan, let's dive into the first part of that, and that's the quarterback controversy. We were under the impression that Donovan Smith was going to come from Texas Tech and be the guy with Clayton Tune moving on, but Lucas Coley has stepped into the mix. Is this a good competition, or are we trying to find the lesser of two evils? What's made this such a tight competition with a guy that's played as much as Donovan Smith played?
So I think they wanted to just go in with a clean slate. You have a brand-new quarterback coach. Former OC Shannon Dawson went to Miami, and basically two guys starting out with just no reps at U of H at all. So you give them the entire spring, they went 50-50. They've gone 50-50 the last 2 weeks. My expectation is when fall camp breaks this weekend, the job is Donovan Smith's. A lot of the players that I talked to are kind of coalescing around him, and they feel that he has stepped up and is going to be the guy.
All right, with the expectation that Donovan Smith is going to be the guy, Ryan, who are his weapons going to be? I know that you said there's a lot of new pieces, but from what you've heard throughout fall camp, who's really standing out as the playmakers offensively for the Cougs?
So I think you're going to hear a lot about the receiver room with this team. Matthew Golden is a true sophomore. He got a lot of play, a lot of snaps, and I think he scored 7 touchdowns last year. He was the number 2 guy behind Tank Dell. Joseph Manjack transferred from USC a year ago. He's a really good kind of possession receiver, 6'3", great hands, doesn't wear gloves. And then there's 2 transfers that have come in, one from Wyoming, Joshua Cobbs, one from Oklahoma State, and Stephon Johnson. Both are in the mix. I expect they're going to run basically 2 platoons out there at the wide receiver spot. There's also a high 4-star legacy recruit in Mikhail Harrison-Pilot. I watched his dad play, which is, I'm getting to that age where I'm starting to see people play at U of H where I saw their parents play, and that's freaking me out a little. But
that hurts you a little bit, doesn't it?
There's a lot of options at wide receiver, and I think in that room, I think you're going to have a lot to work with. At running back, you're going to have a 3-headed monster until somebody kind of steps up and becomes the man. Tony Mathis Jr. comes from West Virginia. I believe Dana Holgerson recruited him for some time when he was at West Virginia. And then 2 guys that are coming back, Stacey Sneed and Brandon Campbell. Obviously, losing Alton McCaskill to Colorado in the spring was a huge blow to this team. He was expected to be the workhorse. So they're having to figure that part out, but they're pretty comfortable with the 3 guys and just seeing, who's the one that steps up.
Beyond the wide receiver position, I mean, this is obviously going to be a very young team. So who are some guys that, have kind of hit at camp a little bit? Who are some guys that are unknowns that could really spark this year?
A couple guys on the defensive line. That's really been the best unit on this team for the last few years. Chidozie Nwankwo, who's a 4-year senior nose tackle, is getting a lot of attention. Nelson Caesar, who's starting to get some attention at the bandit spot, is going to play out wide. And there's a couple other guys that are probably not going to be frontline guys, but that are going to get a lot of play and are probably, as the season goes on, going to start stepping up. Zakiya Strong, Ndami Tucker, and then in the defensive backfield, more question marks really than anywhere. That was not a very good position last year. Alex Hogan returns from an injury. They're going to expect him to step up and do a lot. This defense in early publications is kind of getting stepped on. We'll see how that goes. A.J. Halsey, another guy who transferred from New Mexico, they think that he's going to do a lot of good things in that defensive backfield.
Give us an idea of the anticipation of this opening day game against UTSA, which was a classic last year, a 3-overtime win in San Antonio, 37-35. What's the anticipation? I mean, I think a lot of these teams feel like they got a rollover in the first game. This is not that for Houston. Give us an idea of the excitement and or maybe nervousness that surrounds the UTSA opening day match.
So I would call it an enthusiastic people are definitely enthused, but there's also a sense of dread with it. And that's history. The first day that TDECU opened the stadium in 2014, UTSA came in and beat U of H. I believe it was 29-7, and U of H didn't score to the last minute of the game. The opening game in the stadium. And it kind of has left a pall over the program. This is, I believe, their first time back at TDECU since then, opening another season, opening the Big 12. They have a quarterback. He's going in his 7th year, and he's really good. They've got a very good coach. I personally just do not know what we're going to see from this U of H team with 42 new faces. It could all mesh together really well, or it could just be kind of a mess early on. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Is everything humming, or is it kind of, just not working? I will say that Dana Holgorsen is as calm and upbeat as we've seen him in 5 years. It's almost like dealing with a completely different person. He's not snapping at the media. He's doing things that are kind of public facing with his social media, with his comments. That's certainly different. And that makes it sound like there's a confidence there. So, excuse me, the first week is going to be probably the most interesting first week U of H has played in 25 years, save the OU game in 2016.
Yeah, I'm curious. We talked with Houston Athletic Director Chris Pesman at Big 12 Media Days, and he kind of talked about his faith and confidence in Dana Holgorsen, and that he doesn't look at this in terms of short-term results, but with long-term in mind. Basically said he's not on the hot seat, which I think a lot of people suggested he could be or might be from the outside. Where are Houston fans on Dana Holgorsen right now?
They do not agree with Chris Pesman, but they also have nothing to say about it. I think Dana has a leash. It would be foolish to come into a new conference and having to kind of get your feet wet there to win 4 games, and fire a guy and then have to go get your feet wet all over again. If the play on the field this year has some competence to it, I think Dana's coming back. If it's a situation where you're 1-8 or 2-7 in the league, well, maybe not. But Dana has friends. The board of directors chair is Tillman Fertitta, who brought Dana in. Him and Pesman are close. And I think he's safe, but he does have to show that they are prepared for the Big 12. They can play at this level. Obviously, you're not going to compete at the top level right off the bat. But as long as he shows that he knows what he's doing, I think he'll be fine.
He's got a new OC in Coach Nagavi, who was the O-line coach at Tulane. Dana talked to us at Big 12 Media Days, and we asked him about calling plays and how much more he'd get involved in that. And he said calling plays damn near killed him. So he said that he's tried to be involved and be in the room. I think he said he'd be available and in the room, but not necessarily going to call plays. What do you know about that dynamic as we go into the season?
So I talked with quarterbacks coach Mike Burchett a few days ago. Mike and Nagavi, the offensive line coach, the run game coordinator, and Dana are what Mike called a three-headed monster right now. And so there's no real clear explanation of who's going to be making that call. Now, I think Dana will have a lot more voices. Who makes that final determination and gets it in, I don't know. And I don't think they know quite yet. I will tell you they are wildly impressed with Nagavi. The players are wildly impressed with him. The players really like him. He's come in and teaching technique and really focusing on run blocking. If I had to put a name to it right now, I would say that it'll be Nagavi and Dana with their thoughts and Burchett calling the plays. But as Dana showed last year, that can change mid-season. And so, again, just one of those things we're just not sure about.
Ryan, this is, we had the chance to sit down with Dana at Big 12 Media Days, like Arch mentioned, and Dana Holgorsen has been a part of my football life for quite some time now. It's about as calm as I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a common theme I'm hearing from people down in Houston about just his demeanor, how he's going about everything. What do you think? What are the reasons behind that? Are we seeing a different Dana Holgorsen now?
So we asked this question a few weeks ago, maybe just before the start of camp, and Dana said he went on a 10-day Cabo vacation. I've never heard of anybody staying in Cabo for 10 days. That just does not seem like it
a lot of Cabo.
Me very much. That's a lot of Cabo. And he also went to Miami, and he went to Pebble Beach.
Guy loves to vacation.
He's got guys. I'm sorry?
Guy loves to vacation.
Yeah. But all in July, when he's supposed to do it. And he's got guys in positions where I believe he trusts them. And he think, this is probably the best roster that he's had since he's been here. He's had some life changes. He's getting older. He passed 50. Maybe he's decided that it's time to just not be so anxious. I mean, when he was here as offensive coordinator, he was a mile a minute, And, I mean, the Red Bull that you hear about and see about now was about 5 times as much then. He also had Cliff Kingsbury running around with him. So it was a little different look. But he is definitely calmer. And I don't know if that just comes with wisdom or maturity. But to this point, and this is not in the season, could change, he's been pretty calm.
Ryan Monso, GoCougs.com. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it very much. Be well.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Ryan Monso, GoCougs.com, joining us here on Big 12 Radio.